Hi everyone, this video is all about differential reinforcement of alternative behavior or DRA procedures. I really like DRA procedures. One of the kind of philosophical underpinnings of applied behavioral analysis is anytime we're discouraging one problem behavior, we want to make sure that we're encouraging an expected or desired behavior at the same time. That's how we build skills and that's how we support students with acquiring and maintaining new skills and facilitating meaningful behavior progress. So with DRA procedures, two things we are doing. Number one, we are minimizing or discontinuing reinforcement contingent on problem behaviors. Okay, so let's say we have a student who calls out without permission in the classroom. We ignore that calling out behavior. Really important to emphasize that we're ignoring the calling out behavior. If it's maintained by attention, we're not ignoring the student themselves, just the behavior. Okay, or let's say we have a student who leaves assigned areas without permission to avoid or altogether escape tasks. Okay, in this case, maybe me as a behavior specialist, I stop by that classroom, I pick up the work, and I follow that student and maintain those task demands. Okay, so we try to minimize, discontinue reinforcement contingent on problem behaviors as part of DRA procedures. The other part is we teach and reinforce alternative forms of communication to the problem behavior. Okay. And the best way to kind of identify what behavior we want to teach and reinforce is look around the classroom and what's the expected behavior for all students during times when problem behaviors occur. So let's get back to that example, that student calling out without permission. Okay. The most likely expected behavior at that point is hand raising. Okay, so maybe the alternative behavior we're teaching and reinforcing is hand raising, to where that student in the classroom, they call out without permission. We ignore that calling out behavior. Again, we ignore the behavior, not the student. The second they raise their hand, we call on them. Hey, Jason, great job raising your hand. I'd love to hear what your idea is. Okay, that's differential reinforcement of alternative behavior. Minimize, discontinue reinforcement contingent on the problem behavior, and teach and reinforce an alternative behavior that's socially acceptable. Okay, same thing, our student who's leaving classrooms without permission to avoid or altogether escape tasks. Okay, what's the expected behavior? Well, I want them to be in the classroom completing tasks, but I can't get there if they're leaving the classroom. Maybe a step towards that long-term behavior goal of fully completing tasks is giving that student opportunities to request brief activity breaks. Use break cards to where rather than leaving the classroom and not coming back for the remaining 45 minutes of class, okay, they have three-minute break cards they can use. At the most, they're missing 9 minutes of class, not 45. And we can gradually decrease the number of break cards that student gets as we start to see that problem behavior decrease. So that's a behavior that we teach and reinforce. That student presents a break card, verbally requests an activity break, requests an activity break using an AAC device, and we honor that request by providing a break. Okay, so that's the behavior that we're teaching and reinforcing. In that case, is the break card, verbally requesting a break using an AAC device to request a break. It's a step towards our long-term behavior goal of that student being in the classroom completing tasks. Okay, three important things to keep in mind when selecting alternative behaviors to teach and reinforce. Okay, number one is it has to be function-based. So in other words, using those behaviors needs to result in a similar form of reinforcement to that problem behavior. Okay, if that student requests a brief activity break to avoid or escape the task, and I say, great job, and I give them a token, and I say a few more tokens and you can earn some extra recess time. That's not function-based because that's not providing that student with avoidance or escape. It's got to be function-based. Okay, so that's step one is the student accessing a type of reinforcement similar to the reinforcement that was maintained in the problem behaviors? In other words, is it function-based? Number two is it socially acceptable? Is everybody on the team comfortable reinforcing that behavior? If we are not all comfortable reinforcing the behavior, odds are we're not going to be reinforcing consistently, which is going to send mixed messages to the student, and the student's likely to engage in the problem behavior because that's more likely to result in reinforcement. So in other words, if we have a team member saying, I'm not giving them a break, and then in that class, that student presents a break card or requests a break, and the teacher says no, okay, what's going to happen? That student's going to go back to engaging in the problem behavior. So we need to identify a replacement or an alternative behavior as part of DRA procedures that everybody is comfortable consistently reinforcing. Okay. And number three, it's got to be behavior within that student's skill repertoire. Okay. If our student has maybe limited expressive language skills and we say, all you have to do is say, I need a break, please, to take a break. Okay. And maybe that student doesn't have that skill within their repertoire. Okay. It's easier and more likely that the student's going to go back to the problem behavior to communicate wants and needs. So we need to make sure that that behavior is within that student skill repertoire, that they can relatively easily and consistently exhibit that behavior to where there's no need to engage in problem behaviors. I hope that's a helpful overview, and I hope that you all feel empowered to use DRA procedures with your students.